Anytime you get the chance to represent your country, it's a huge honor. It's something that you grow up looking forward to.
Just living in the moment, just excited, just happy, taking it day by day, taking it step by step, and hopefully at the end of the tunnel there's a lot of light.
Makes you realize that you can't take anything for granted, and you gotta, when you have this crush on, you gotta play like you'll never wear it again.
The World Cup fast approaching, the U.S. getting ready. Welcome to this special Summer of Soccer presentation, Making the Team. I'm Martin Kilquin. Still plenty of decisions to be made for the head coach. Final roster announcements coming up on May 26th as the U.S. hopes to assemble a squad that can make a deep run.
Yeah, we need to be fair with the players, because the demand of, and you know very well, the media from where they arrive was really intense. Compared with the last camp or the atmosphere, I think it's really good. I think, we need to extend this type of performance, the intensity that we need to improve in the defensive day. But the most important is not Portugal. The most important is that we need to improve in this area from one game to another.
And for the first time, it's a 48-team field in the World Cup. The World comes to North America, U.S., Canada, and Mexico. 16 different cities will host some of the action, including 11 in the U.S. And certainly added pressure on the American team to advance. Haven't been to the quarterfinals since 2002. Recent results in the friendlies have not been great, losing to Belgium and Portugal. But the hope is that these tune-ups lead to better results.
For us, it's more about connecting, communicating, making sure that we're all on the same page. It's not, so much, we need to be playing X amount of minutes together in order to feel like we're together or we're gelling or we know, what our roles are.
You can put whatever tactics out there, but if the guys don't go out there and, show you that they're going to do it, you can only go so far. So, I think mentality is probably the number one thing. I think that's something that Mauricio has also stressed to us, is that, he can put whoever out there on the pitch, but you have to go out there and perform. And I think mentality is the number one thing that can get you wins.
And here is the schedule for the U.S. playing in Group D. They'll open June 12th versus Paraguay. That's at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. A week later, the U.S. take it on Australia. That match in Seattle. And on June 25th, Turkey is the opponent. They're in the World Cup for the first time since 2002. That match also in L.A. Former members of the men's national team hoping this is a special summer.
A lot of times we're focused on, we just need to qualify or we need to get out of our group, and we call that a victory. We're past that. We've done that. Now it's time to actually go push a little bit further. And what a better time than here in the United States for the World Cup. This is a loaded group of young talent. We have more kids playing overseas at the highest levels, Champions League football, now more than ever. And now we're coming to North America with a World Cup on our home soil. These boys definitely know what's at stake. I think the awareness is there. I think the expectation is there from Coach Pochettino as well. So we'll get to see, obviously, firsthand sooner than later what's going to come of it. But I 100% think they understand what's at stake here.
And let's take a closer look at some of the key players for this year's club, including Alex Freeman, right back from Baltimore, Maryland, playing professionally in Spain. He's also played in MLS and had an extended run here for the U.S. during the CONCACAF Gold Cup last summer. Let's check in with Kevin Ryans.
Choosing a sport is simple for most kids, but when your dad is a Super Bowl champion, that decision can feel a lot heavier. And for Alex Freeman, whose father, Antonio Freeman, won Super Bowl 31 with the Packers, that meant turning away from football and following his heart.
You get a lot of pressure when you play the same sport as your father or a professional athlete that was very successful.
21-year-old Alex Freeman chose a completely different path. Instead of catching passes, Alex grew up kicking soccer balls. While football was in the family business, soccer became his passion and eventually his identity.
I grew up with a ball on my feet always, playing soccer, and I had a love for it that, a bigger love than I had for football, And I think for me, it was also creating my own path, being my own person and just be able to create my own path with having him still to be a leadership and a role model as well.
Now Alex is building his own legacy in soccer. And this summer, that could mean a spot on the U.S. men's national team for the North American World Cup.
That's the goal, is to be able to make that World Cup roster and be able to play in Miami. I feel like, if we did that, I feel like my dream is true. You know, I think the support I would have would be out of this roof, you know, and I think it would be a very special thing for me, knowing that when I could look in the stands, I could probably spot a few people that I know, and I feel like knowing that I could do that is just means the world to me.
Freeman says wearing the crest, the red, white, and blue, is something he refuses to take for granted.
Playing for your country is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So knowing that I can go out and wear the crest, you know, not only wear the crest, but be on the field while I have the crest on, it just makes everything so much better and just makes me forever grateful, but also it makes you realize that you can't take anything for granted. And you gotta, when you have this crest on, you gotta play like you'll never wear it again.
And Alex is already dreaming ahead. A World Cup appearance, maybe even a World Cup title to go along with a Lombardi Trophy winner in the family home.
Lombardi Trophy, Super Bowl ring, we need all the silverware we can get. My dad says that effortlessly, that if I ever won one, that it's just going to go right next to that trophy for sure.
For the Summer of Soccer, I'm Kevin Ryans.
And still to come, the story in net, checking in with Matt Freese, the U.S. men's goalkeeper, as he looks to cement his role as the starter. Plus, we get a look at the new home for U.S. men's soccer, a brand new facility just outside Atlanta. Plenty more to come right here on the Summer of Soccer, making the team.
To be one of 20 some odd players to be called up and to represent millions and millions of people from different walks of life, I think that's something that you can't take for granted. You know, it's a real blessing to even put your name and to be considered part of that mix. It's now on me to step into it and to make sure that all that work and all the sacrifice from all those around me doesn't go to waste.
Mark McKenzie, part of the depth at center back for the U.S. men's national team. We continue to take a closer look at the Summer of Soccer making the team. I'm Martin Kilcoyne. The U.S. has had a bumpy ride during some of the friendlies, blasted 5-2 by Belgium and then shut out by Portugal. So maybe a good time to talk about who's in goal. Matt Freese is the presumptive starter, did not play in the Belgium game. 27-year-old out of Wayne, Pennsylvania, played his college soccer at Harvard, currently playing for New York FC in Major League Soccer. Jordan Williams has more.
Christian Pulisic is without a doubt the first name on the team sheet for USA at this summer's World Cup. But Matt Freese isn't too far behind. The 27-year-old who has spent his whole career in Major League Soccer has seemingly locked down the starting goalkeeping position with a mentality that revolves around competition.
I'm there to win, no matter what it is.
It goes without saying that every professional athlete is competitive. But for Matt Freese, it seems that competition is the ultimate feeling.
I love competing. I love winning, and you know, sports, soccer specifically, kind of gives me an outlet to try to do that in the most binary sense possible. You either win or you lose.
And in soccer, sometimes you draw, unless it's a winner-take-all game, and that's when Matt shines. Penalty shootouts. He's made it a habit to showcase his ability to save a spot kick when it matters most, like in the 2025 Gold Cup quarterfinals against Costa Rica when he made 3 saves.
Penalty kicks in general are kind of the quintessence of competition, right? It's it's just you versus one guy who's going to come out on top, and I like coming out on top when I can.
As a goalkeeper, that confidence is key. Chemistry and communication is also important on and off the field.
Just the group has really come together. We have a group chat with a ton of us that every single day there's like 50 texts in. If you're not together, if you're not a team, if you don't have chemistry and fight for each other, believe in each other, and lay it all out there for each other, it's going to be difficult to succeed at the highest level.
The Pennsylvania native and Harvard alum has all but secured his spot as the national team's starting goalkeeper at the World Cup. All that's left to do now is go out and represent the United States in a World Cup on home soil.
You know, anytime you get the chance to represent your country, it's a huge honor. It's something that you grow up looking forward to and dreaming about.
And Matt Freese loves penalty shootouts so much, He once did a research project on the topic while at Harvard. For the Summer of Soccer, I'm Jordan Williams.
Well, fans of the U.S. soccer team have no doubt heard the name Berhalter before. Midfielder Sebastian Berhalter's dad is Greg, who had 2 different stints in charge of the men's national team as recently as 2024. Sebastian, born in London, played some college soccer at North Carolina. He's been on the Vancouver Whitecaps in MLS since 2022. He and his teammates ready for the excitement this summer will bring.
It's going to be great for the country. I think it's something that almost the country's been craving, and we want to produce. We want to give it to them and show that, this is one of the biggest sports in this nation. And hopefully people are excited. We want to go out there and fight and put intensity into the games and show that we're a real soccer nation.
Yeah, overall, we want to also show the world why we want to be one of the soccer powerhouses that people talk about. So, it takes good performances, and I think we can build off of the last game, but when it comes World Cup time, I know that we'll be ready.
It's one thing to talk about building the game, but it would be nice if there was a building. For the first time, there is a place for coaches, players, and staff to meet, to practice, and improve. Just outside of Atlanta, it's the Arthur M. Blank U.S. Soccer National Training Center. Yes, Arthur Blank, the owner of the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the goal here is to provide the best-in-class training, top-flight technology, and ultimately help take the U.S. game to the next level.
It's amazing. In football, I think it's definitely needed. It's a place we can call home in the future. It's a place where we probably meet every time, and I think this can also help us for the future success. And it's amazing to have.
The U.S. playing host to the World Cup, stirring up some memories for members of the 1994 squad, a time when soccer was starting to gain steam at the national level. When we come back, some thoughts from the always excitable, always opinionated Alexi Lalas.
When it comes to this actual individual U.S. team, I think you should not just expect, but you should demand that this team do things that are historic, do things that ultimately make you proud.
The summer of 1994, a special time for soccer fans in the U.S. The World Cup coming here. The success of that whole entire tournament helped launch Major League Soccer. Yes, MLS came out of that summer. Alexi Lalas, part of that World Cup team for the U.S.
Well, look, this summer is going to be wonderful in terms of welcoming the world to our country and welcoming it back to a United States that has fundamentally changed when it comes to our soccer landscape. When it comes to this actual individual U.S. team, I think you should not just expect, but you should demand that this team do things that are historic, do things that ultimately make you proud. I can't tell you what that looks like to you in terms of wins and losses and everything like that, but you know it. You know it when you see a U.S. team on a field that makes you proud. And that's what I want to see from this team. But we should have higher expectations because of the talent that we have, all those pathways that we talked about. With that comes higher expectations, and I believe that this group can live up to it.
Martin Kilcoyne back with you on the Summer of Soccer making the team as we look at some of the key contributors for the U.S. They try and make some noise while playing in front of the home crowds all summer long. Now, Tim Weah has been a staple for the American squad since 2018, been used primarily as a winger in the friendlies for the U.S. 26 years old from Brooklyn, New York. He's played overseas, France and Italy. Let's kick it over to our Jordan Williams.
At a World Cup, every team needs experience and goal scoring. Luckily for Timothy Weah, he brings both. Nearly 50 appearances for Team USA and one of only 3 active American players that can say he scored at a World Cup.
Meet Timothy Weah, part-time defender and part-time attacker for Olympique de Marseille in France and the United States men's national team. At 25 years old, Weah has been an integral part of this new golden generation of U.S. soccer. He's also already got a World Cup moment from 2022 when he scored the U.S.'s first goal of the tournament against Wales.
You know, I usually do succeed in big moments, usually score or assist in big moments, usually get the team going in big moments. So it's definitely, I would say it's luck. I would say it's luck, and it's definitely God. So I'm just happy to be able to represent this country, represent my family at such a high level.
Representing his family comes with some big pressure. Weah is the son of one of the greatest players to ever live and former Liberian President George Weah. While his dad was primarily an attacking player, Timothy now splits his time between attack and defense.
I'm kind of trying to balance out, you know, which one I like more. As a defender now, I love to slide tackle. So yeah, and then as an attacker when I'm playing attack, you know, when you shoot, the goalkeeper can't catch anything. So it's like it's kind of a win-win situation.
Weah still may be figuring out which position he enjoys more, but his preferred playing conditions not up for debate.
A perfect match for me would have to be a rainy night, yeah, under the lights. I mean, there's nothing better than that. Kind of just reminds me of when I was a kid with all these big dreams, playing in the rain.
If selected for the 2026 team, Weah will try and do something only 3 other Americans have done before him, and that's score at multiple World Cup tournaments.
I'm just living in the moment, just excited, just happy, taking it day by day, taking it step by step, and, you know, hopefully at the end of the tunnel there's a lot of light.
Experience, goal scoring, and should I mention versatility. Weah played as a winger in the 2022 World Cup, but as you just heard, he now has the ability to also play as a defender. For the Summer of Soccer, I'm Jordan Williams.
Soccer fans know the name Brendan Aronson. He can be a bit of a pest, and that's a compliment. Logged a lot of minutes and appearances over the years for the U.S. From New Jersey, one of the many players who come from that Philadelphia area. Earlier in his career, Aronson was runner-up for the MLS Rookie of the Year.
Playing for the national team is playing for the name on the back of my kit, you know, playing for my last name and playing for my family. You know, I love representing this country and all. My earliest memories of playing or even watching was my dad would have the Premier League on the TV, or he'd be watching Liverpool from a young age, probably when I was 5, 6 years old, in front of the TV, and yeah, just sitting there and, you know, just watching, and then he'd get a ball out and we'd start playing with it.
And when we come back, we check in with the coach yet again, Mauricio Pochettino, in charge of the U.S. squad this summer. More of his thoughts as the Summer of Soccer Making the Team rolls on.
I say that you cannot never say never. In football, everything can happen. I don't know. I am very happy here.
Mauricio Pochettino talking about his future with the U.S. men's national team. The U.S. getting ready, quite frankly, revved up for the Summer of Soccer. I'm Martin Kilkin. We continue to zoom in on making the team. Some roster decisions inching closer for the U.S. men's national team. Now, the dean, the savvy vet, the most experienced, whatever phrase you want to pick, it fits for Tim Ream, 38 years old from St. Louis, Missouri, played for the U.S. in the 2022 World Cup. The defender started all 4 games as the team reached the round of 16.
For Tim Ream, one of the longest tenured members of the U.S. men's national team, this World Cup cycle feels different because, in many ways, his soccer life has come full circle.
You get drafted straight out of college, and you know, you have your dreams and your aspirations of playing in a World Cup. I mean, I remember actually being at, you know, the stadium and announcing, you know, who was hosting the World Cup, and now we're here less than a year away from hosting.
Unlike many of his teammates, Ream has already lived a World Cup, and he's the only player on this roster old enough to remember the last time the U.S. hosted one.
So that tells you how old I am and how long I've been around. But no, I think that the biggest thing is just to embrace what it is, right? And embrace the pressure and enjoy the you know, the day to day and every moment that you're involved in it, because it comes quick and it goes quick.
At 38, every call-up carries a little more weight. Ream says staying in the picture this long isn't luck, it's adaptation.
And as you get older, you're always a little bit, surprised when you still keep getting called. But I've maintained for a long time that if you take care of yourself and you do the right things and you can adapt to what the coaches are asking, you give yourself the best possible chance to continue to be called in.
And with the newer coaching staff and a deep player pool, his leadership has taken on an even bigger role, helping shape what he calls a renewed culture within the team.
We brought a group of guys together who had never played together, created an atmosphere, a culture, and a togetherness that has been, lacking.
For Reem, the internal competition is exactly what pushes the group forward and pushes him to keep earning his place.
You're not just competing against other teams, you're competing against guys who are within your own team, within your own squad, and that gets the best out of everybody.
Nearly a decade and a half after his debut, Tim Ream is still here, still adapting, still competing, and still embracing every moment as the World Cup approaches. For the Summer of Soccer, I'm Kevin Ryans.
And indeed, the Summer of Soccer taking shape. The World Cup comes to America for the first time in 32 years. The U.S. will debut June 12th against Paraguay, but the first match, that's going to be on June 11th. Mexico gets to play in Mexico City against South Africa. The 48-team field will provide some great drama, and we know the world will be watching. For the Summer of Soccer, I'm Martin Kilcoyne.